The few people that are fighting for non-Delver players everywhere, that is Jake Moldowsky.
Yep.
Now, Jake's list, he does have a main deck Thrun, and he has 4 main deck War and Peace.
Yeah, so the full 4. We did see Jake in round 9 when he was playing against that Esper Planeswalker deck. He was victorious there. Let's see if he can do it again. This time versus Dave Shiels Delver.
It is worth noting that all of these Delver lists are actual Delver lists.
Yeah.
There is not a single Delverless Delver amongst them. Turn 1, Bird of Paradise. And this event is using the current rules for the elimination rounds, which let the person with the better record, in terms of after the tiebreaks, determine who goes first.
Yep. So Gutshot takes out that Bird of Paradise, and Dave Shiels also has a turn 1 Delver of Secrets.
Now, for those of you who are watching at home, one of these people is going to be a winner, but also you could be a winner if you answer a trivia question, which will be asked in between Game 1 and Game 2 as they sideboard.
So Jake Moldowsky, just with another Copperline Gorgon, passes the turn. Dave Shiels does not flip his Delver. Instead, just draws a land.
Now, one of the things we're going to have to do is that the room has largely emptied out, and so while before being on the other side of the room was a good defense against the opponents or the players being able to hear, now we're going to be a little bit more cautious because there are so few people here. It really can carry all the way across the room.
Right. So if the sound is an issue, let us know on Twitter and we'll turn the sound up. So Dave Shiels swings in for 1. Jake drops Jake to 19. He's now thinking. Oh no, Jake's turn. Jake's turn 3.
One note about the brackets. The way the brackets are broken down, there will be a Delver player in the finals.
No matter what.
We have a Green Suns for 1 from Jake Moldowsky.
And Dave Shiels thinking about this one. It will resolve. Jake Moldowsky going to get a Llanowar Elf here. Oh no, Bird of Paradise. Sort of surprising given his mana situation. Now if I'm Dave Shiels, I'm thinking Bird of Paradise means that a sword is forthcoming. Because to me there's not much reason to get Bird over Llanowar Elf. So after that, looks like Jake's going to pass the turn back. Dave, end of turn, Snapcaster, flashback Gutshot. Another bird down.
Now, Dave Shiels' deck is really well set up for this kind of matchup because it does have access to 2 Gutshots, which means that bird down can be a way that matches play out very commonly.
Exactly, and when he draws 1 Gutshot, it's really like he has a lot more than that because of the 4 Snapcaster and Ponder and Probes to find them. So Ponder sees Angel, Delver, and the third card I didn't quite make out. Plains. Looks like he'll keep those, drawing the Plains. Beautiful, beautiful APAC land. Comes in for 3. Life total 16 each.
Jake Moldowsky untaps.
And looks like he's going to get to that crucial 4th mana. That's sort of a flashpoint for the red-green deck.
3 of the mana coming down for a bonfire. Was that Miracled or was that cast?
I think that was just
for
X
1?
equals 1.
Okay.
Natural.
Mana Flare, followed up by a Galv Blast after the Mana Leak stops the bonfire.
Yep, so he manages to kill that Delver. Now,
one of 2 bonfires in the deck.
in the
Two more in the board.
Yep.
One thing to be aware of, these players have 100% full access to each other's deck lists before this game starts, so they have an opportunity to have perfect information of what their opponent can play.
Right. And now, in the past, this might have been a good matchup for the red-green player because he would be able to just clear out all of the cheap creatures, but Restoration Angel really changes that simply because it's a 3/4. Really hard to kill.
Restoration Angel, 4 toughness is just so much. I mean,
so good right now in Standard. Really, really hard to kill in combat. Really, really hard to kill with red spells.
And I spy with my little eye, a Thought Scour.
Mills that angel. Dave, I think he's looking for his 4th land.
I think he found it.
Yeah, he found 2 of them.
and
it
pass.
says go.
Dave Shiels is playing the Geist-style build. This is very close to what we saw with Jerry Thompson's crew for the Star City Games event in Nashville. It looks like he has one more Restoration Angel. Looks like he has a Cavern of Souls and an Evolving Wilds, where Jerry did not. Jake, in play, puts down a Huntmaster of the Fells.
Threatening to bring a wolf with it and him up to 16.
And it looks like it comes down.
Yep.
Dismember for life for Dave Shiels to get rid of the Huntmaster.
Yep. Drops to 12, and now he'll untap with Restoration Angel in hand. And if he can... Ooh, another Island.
Okay,
Not what he wanted to draw.
Now remember, this Restoration Angel, because of the Snapcaster in play, does represent another Thought Scour, so Dave can get a free card out of it. And if he has a Vapor Snag still in the yard, that's another possibility. But if he wants to main phase it, instead of going for the surprise factor, he can get the Ponder off right away.
Right. Now the only things that he has to worry about from Jake's deck, for a lot of mana, the Silverheart and the War and Peace.
Yeah, Sword of War and Peace is a card that is so worth worrying about, though. Dave Shiels has numerous colors of removal, but no active way to remove a sword on the table in Game 1.
Nope. And even in Game 2, he doesn't get many answers. So Dave Shiels deep in the tank here, trying to decide whether to Angel his Snapcaster so that he can ponder, or to save it for mid-combat. His hand is Island, Restoration Angel.
Our reporter on the floor, Glenn Jones, will be giving us the game results as they come in from the other 3 matches currently underway. We see another Huntmaster. This would be a card that Dave Shiels would hope to stop, but unfortunately for Dave, he cannot. That makes 2 wolves, 2 more life for Jake, and a real threat of a flipping Huntmaster.
Yeah, and Dave Shiels would hate to have to use that Angel plus Snapcaster combo on a Dismember, but he might have to. Because if that card flips, it's a lot of trouble for Dave Shiels.
I mean, Dave's hand is Land Angel. Is that correct?
It is. And milling away that other Angel is certainly looking foolish now, but he had to do it to find that land.
I mean, when you need the land, you need the land. Here's the Angel, and we do see the Dismember. I mean, he does have a stable board presence now.
Yep.
No actual action in hand. He's just got to work with what's in play. Jake Moldowsky still holding 2 cards.
He is.
And I could not see what Dave drew yet.
No, I believe I saw Sword of War and Peace in one of Jake's cards, though I'm not sure about that.
That would be very problematic. The Angel, such a powerful card, and yet, you know, Dave's still in a lot of trouble here. And why? Well, 2 Huntmasters came down, and Dave was essentially forced to lose 4 life to kill each of them.
Yeah, exactly. So he leaves his Restoration Angel back, figures that the threat of something like an Incinerate or a Galvanic Blast is just way too much to risk attacking. And Jake goes for the sword. And Snapcaster, Mana Leak. That was the card he drew this turn, and that's a good one. Kessig Wolfrun is Jake's second to last card. Which is, again, it's pretty problematic when Dave's at 8 life.
This is true. One note from out in the world. The World Cup qualifier, it looks like LSV, Blue Scott Vargas, is in the finals. So,
wow.
For those of you who are paying attention to those things, that's out there too.
So Dave Shiels, 2 cards in hand, one of which we know is an island. Not sure about the other one. And again, he has to choose whether or not he can afford to attack right now. But the thing is, he can't wait around forever versus that active Wolfrun. He doesn't have his special land, no Moorland Taunt. He has to get to work on Jake's life total.
The Kessig Wolf run really makes the one toughness of the Snapcaster Mage relevant.
So Dave decides on an attack only with Snapcaster. And there's that Evolving Wilds. Now, will Dave keep this Wilds for a Ponder? Or will he just crack it right away?
I think he'll hold on to it. I think it's way more valuable as a card selection tool than as a means to thin out his library of what would be one land out of the remaining 16. So, I mean,
it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, whereas the actual card selection, when he gets information from Ponder or from a Delver, is real.
So Jake doing the Wolf Run math right now. He has to figure out exactly what he can afford to do here. It looks like he's tapping it to cast a main phase Avenger. Trying to play around any sort of mana leaks from Dave Shiels. Dave untaps, draws a land.
We can see the Evolving Wild sticking around.
Yep.
Selection.
Yep, Dave wisely saving it.
That Wolfer, good God. I mean, regeneration is not a fake ability.
No, it used to be.
Yeah.
Back when everything said can't be regenerated on it, it wasn't really a big deal, but now it really is. And we'll see how Dave Shiels tries to get out of this one. A Sword of War and Peace would go a long way, as would a Sword of Feast and Famine. So the Wolfier comes in.
Dave at such low life that it's just a lot of damage. Now, what he's saying to Jake here is activate it or else you're in trouble.
Yeah, so he activates it, the 2 trade.
Wow.
Jake did not have the extra mana. Now, if I'm Jake, I just would have played the bird and passed. He could easily wait 1 more turn. That way he has the regeneration mana up. But he just wants to pressure Dave. He realizes Dave has all lands in hand, and he really needs to keep the pressure up here. Can you see what David drew that turn?
Not at all. I think it's a Moorland Haunt.
Ooh, that would be pretty good.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan here with Zach Hall. We're in the quarterfinal match of the Star City Games Worcester Open, and it's Dave Shiels on the right, playing Blue-White Delver, and Jake Moldowsky on the left, playing Red-Green Aggro. Dave looking at how much damage can be done here. That can be a 6-power wolf if Jake goes all in.
Yeah, and that's pretty quickly going to take away Dave's life total. Dave Shiels desperately needs a sword here. Even a Vapor Snag would buy him a lot of time, but sword is what he would love to draw. Looks like Moorland Haunt will be activated.
Goodbye, Angel.
And he blocks with a Snapcaster and a token, trying to soak up as much damage as possible from that Wolf Run.
Now, this does, of course, mean he's not going to get full advantage of just getting card advantage here. But he's not as concerned about that as he's concerned about preventing, in this case, a grand total of potentially 1 life.
Right.
By throwing away that card.
Right. I mean, he's going to have plenty of Moorland Haunt fodder this game. That's not an issue. What's an issue is staying alive, staying out of Galv Blast range, staying out of Incinerate range, or at least as high as possible.
And Jake goes all in. No Vapor Snag from Dave. And we see Dave just deciding it's time.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things he has to think about here is that means he has 3 mana to activate the Moorland Haunt and have that 3, so it's Plains, Island, Moorland Haunt. And then he still has 4 mana up, so he can keep active the ability to do Moorland Haunt, plus have an Angel should he draw one.
Right. And you have to wonder if not playing out his lands was a little bit of a mistake here. He's playing for a Sword of War and Peace, but if...
There's a mana leak, way too late.
And now Dave might be able to squeak out one more turn by bluffing Jake with the mystery of those 2 cards in his hand.
I mean, if you're Jake at this point, I think you just call. Just show it. Show me. When you're in a position that if your opponent doesn't have it and they're dead, and the cost, if they do have it, is you're still playing,
right,
that's fine.
Oh, and Huntmaster, he changes gears here a little bit.
Oh, I don't like that play one bit. And if I'm Dave, I'm pretty sure that I consider... Oh, I would have considered man-leaking that, but what does Dave have for outs here? Restoration Angel does a little bit of work for him. Sword doesn't do enough anymore, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I think he just drew it, too. Yeah, it's a Sword of War and Peace. So we'll see if it's enough here.
It's only going to gain him 2 life.
Yeah, he can... let's see, he'll be able to activate Moreland Haunt. He could also re-equip.
Can he? I mean, I think he's a little shy. He can do 3 mana, 2 mana, equip on the flyer, come in for 3, gain 2 life, and he can re-equip to the Snapcaster, but that means he won't be able to activate the Moreland Haunt as well.
Right.
Unless that's the one sort of Feast and Famine. Oh, that's the War and Peace. Okay. Now remember, if Jake doesn't do anything else besides pump something up, his Huntmaster will flip, which is by itself problematic.
Right.
In comes the Spirit. Take 3, take 1, gain 2. Oh, no. No, he says, that's okay, I'll block with this here bird.
Yep.
And Dave says, well, that's all I can do. Good
Packs
game.
it in.
Okay, now Dave having some fun eating his hoodie. Okay, so Jake Moldowsky up the first game. And besides Jake Moldowsky winning that very first game, and we're going into this game 2 for these 2, you can win at home by answering a trivia question.
Yeah, 3 months of premium we're giving away here.
3 months of premium. Now, the way that this works, for those of you who don't know, is that what we want you to do, down at the bottom of the screen, you can see the hashtag SCG Premium.
Over there somewhere.
Now, you want to answer this question with that hashtag SCG Premium.
Right.
One lucky person out there who gets the correct answer to the trivia question will be selected amongst those who get it right. And this round, win 3 free months of premium.
Yep.
We'll do the same thing tomorrow. And the winner of the semifinals will get 6 free months of premium. And then finally, in the finals of the standard tomorrow morning, you'll be getting a Gen Con badge.
Gen Con badge, 4-day Gen Con badge.
Which is awesome. I mean, if you get a chance, Gen Con, some of the greatest moments for gamers of all time. I'm a big fan. And so the trivia question that I am going to ask is very, very simple. We have 6 Delver decks in this top 8. We have 1 red-green aggro deck in this top 8. What is the other deck in the top 8? What archetype is it? And you can be with this. I'm not going to be a stickler for the specifics. So let's say, for the sake of argument, it's not red-green aggro. We already talked about that.
Yeah, it's not blue-white Delver.
Yeah. Let's pretend that you got it basically close. That's fine with me. By way of example, if you said red, I'm not going to be like, well, actually, it's Sly.
It's red with dismember, so it's really red-black.
Yeah. We're not going to do that.
No, just give us a general answer.
Give us a general answer.
There you go.
And you're going to tweet that answer, hashtag SCG Premium.
Right. You can at SCG Live. You don't have to. Just make sure you use SCG Premium.
Now, speaking to this match at hand, the sideboard cards for Jake Moldowsky, what do you like here? I kind of am not sure what I want to board in if I'm Jake Moldowsky. Do you like Bonfire of the Damned, or is it just too swingy and not consistent enough?
You know, I don't know. I think between 2 and 3 is the right number. I don't think you want all 4, because a lot of times it's not that good. It would just be killing 1 creature.
Right. At the other end of the spectrum, sometimes it just comes in and you're like, there's your game.
Right, exactly.
For example, all over.
If Dave didn't have the mana leak when Jake went for the Bonfire that game would have been in effect over there. So I would probably stick with my 2. I might board into a 3rd. One thing I would board in probably would be those dismembers. just as a way to deal with that Restoration Angel, because Galvanic Blast, while it's a great card, it costs 1 mana, does not cost you any life, it can't kill one of the most problematic cards in the matchup, which is that 3/4 flyer.
Is it okay if I take a small break from this match to say to everyone out there that LSV is on our U.S. national team?
Wow.
Breaking news.
I'd say that's pretty
LSV
good for the U.S.
on the U.S. national team.
I'd say that's all right.
Oh, doctor.
Wait, U.S. Nationals? I didn't think they had that anymore.
Well, it's the U.S. national team.
Sure. So, looking to Dave Shiels' sideboard, he has 2 Phantasmal Image, which I have to imagine will come in as answers to Huntmaster of the Fells. Pretty weak to SCGWOR run.
I think we're going to see the same thing that Jerry Thompson has been championing for a couple weeks now, which is we're going to see him bring in images and reinforcements to stall out the ground. We might see some Day of Judgments to clear the area, to clear the table, the 1 Divine Offering just to get that in the mix, and basically a slowing down of Dave's deck. And now in order to accomplish this slowing down, Geist of St. Traft, that's going to get kicked to the curb. And the question mark I really find is, Delver, what's going to happen with you? Are you also going to get kicked to the curb or not? So that we can get to that point where Dave Shiels can potentially be Consecrated Sphinx.
Right.
Now, if Jake knows that this is the kind of plan that he's going to be playing against, that makes the possibility of a card like Zealous Conscripts more viable. But the problem, of course, is that Zealous Conscripts is 5 mana, and while, yes, it quote-unquote answers a Sphinx in that you can do 7 damage with Conscripts plus Sphinx, plus potentially whatever else you have out, that is a temporary answer, and you have to already have them down for that to work.
Right. I'm not really a huge fan of the Zealous Conscripts in this matchup.
I don't either.
Best case scenario, you take a Sphinx. Worst case scenario, you're taking something like a Snapcaster Mage, which is just, sometimes it can be that final push, but at that point, anything could be that final push.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very simple sideboard for Jake Moldowsky.
Definitely. Yeah, really, I'm looking at these options. Batterskull, Hellrider's all right.
What are the things that are not that great for him? Incinerate and Galvanic Blast, perhaps?
Wolfir Silverheart, for sure. Definitely wants to lower his curve a little bit.
And, maybe bring in 1 Bonfire, or perhaps Dismembers.
Sure.
Dismembers as a means to kill every creature that comes back.
If I'm Jake, I'd probably take out at least 1 Sword of Worn piece. Actually, probably exactly 1.
I like the swords, honestly.
I don't know if I want 4, though.
The reason I like the swords is that the only thing that stops the sword are blue creatures. And there really aren't very many blue creatures from his opponent.
Right. That's true. If it ever can connect, it's really, really good. But that's the tricky part. So both players on 7 cards. Dave Shiels leads with a tap land. Jake counters with a Bird of Paradise. Dave with a Seachrome Coast. And we'll see what he has for his turn 2 here.
Our plucky reporter from the floor, Glenn Jones, informs us that Jeremy Dombeck is up 1 game with one of the decks that we will not name versus Blue-White Delver.
Perhaps the answer to the question. It's a little hint. Tweet us with SCG Premium with that answer. You can win 3 free months.
Hashtag SCG Premium. And we see in Dave Shiels' hand the Consecrated Sphinx that we were talking about before, proving that he is indeed going with the plan that Jerry Thompson championed not so long ago.
Yep. So Dave Shiels, a grip full of reactive cards, Consecrated Sphinx, Day of Judgment. Just really great answers to Jake's threats. And Dave has to be excited to see those Birds of Paradise, 2 of them, with a Day of Judgment in his hand.
Huntmaster.
So now it's just a question of whether Dave can find that 4th land.
Does he
has
it?
He has it. That's a Moreland Haunt, actually.
Moreland Haunt. That means if I am Dave Shiels, I'm going to be not displeased by this Day of Judgment in my hand.
3 for 1, thank you very much. Take that card advantage to the bank and deposit it.
One thing about card advantage you have to be a little bit cautious of But you don't want to be so excited about card advantage that you let it bite you. I know I watched a video match with Sam Black playing Delverless Delver, where he actively didn't do anything versus the Huntmaster just to encourage his opponent to drop more stuff onto the board. And he paid for it.
Yeah.
he got the card advantage, but ended up dying.
The cost of his life.
Day of Judgment from Dave Shiels.
Does clear those away.
And a Huntmaster replaces the previous Huntmaster.
Yep, and Dave just building ever closer to that almost unanswerable Consecrated Sphinx at a healthy 20 life.
There's another land, I believe.
Yeah.
What Dave really wants to be able to do here is cast a spell.
He would love to be able to do that. Make sure that Huntmaster doesn't flip, because a 4/4 cannot be ambushed by Restoration Angel.
Timely?
Yep, 3 tokens.
Timely. Now, the fun thing here,
6
Dave,
life.
though he is at 20, because of the 2 Huntmasters, he is still behind.
So 26 to 24,
No.
3 soldiers for Jake.
These players are not playing Two-Headed Giant. No, they started at 20. Who do we have there?
Oh my.
I can't quite tell, but those look like soldiers to me.
Yeah, they look like Star City Open top 8ers.
Is that Spagnolo?
No idea.
I can see Spagnolo.
Yeah.
Who, one of my favorite magicians.
And all 3 of them jump
in
on
the
that
way.
wolf.
I hope that Spagnolo lives. No.
It's too bad. Rest in peace, Nick. He'll be back.
Good guy, Nick Spagnolo. And we're going to see the EOT. No spells from Dave Shiels. No spells from Jake Moldowsky. Upkeep. There's a 2/2 there. And flippity flip. It hits, kills the last of the soldiers.
Yep, Dave Shiels
and
at
Dave
24.
takes 2, 24 apiece.
That's another land, so he can slam that Sphinx if he wants to. If he waits 1 turn, or rather 1 more land drop, he can play the Sphinx with a Vapor Snag up if he wants to.
You know, the thing about just dropping it is that he sees, if he remembers, there it is. There are no Phyrexian Metamorphs in Jake Moldowski's main or sideboard.
No,
So
not a single one.
yeah, at a healthy 24 life, should his opponent have boarded in Zealous Conscripts, which might not have been advisable, even if that were the case, there's no real threat. And what do we have here? Hell Rider,
Okay.
but not really anything worth it. Here they come.
Yep, and Dave Shiels will almost certainly block. He's up so many cards
Yeah,
at this point.
I would block the Hell Rider. I think it's more dangerous than the wolf there. The Huntmaster flipped, whose name I cannot remember when it's flipped.
Ravager up the fell.
Yes. Do you know that that card has a special ability?
Trample.
I know.
It's really often forgot.
I often forgotten.
Yeah.
Much like Death Touch on a Grave Titan.
Oh, so Dave just took the damage. Wants to make sure that his Sphinx lives. Strangleroot, guys, comes down post-combat.
That is a lot of damage.
Yeah, Dave Shiels at 15.
And Vapor Snag.
This is on the upkeep, so the Ravager doesn't transform again.
This prevents a wolf from showing up.
Yep. Dave Shiels drawing a land there. He has Angel, Vapor Snag in hand. And right now he's in the driver's seat, firmly.
That is a lot of cards. Look at that. Oh.
Mid of them.
When Consecrated Sphinx was printed and I was testing for block, one of the things we discovered really, really quickly, a Consecrated Sphinx defining card for that block format. And the reason being, there were just so few cards that could really even handle it.
Right.
That is not any different in Standard. There are so few cards that can match it.
4/6. You know, if it was a 4/5, that's fine. You can dismember it.
Fine in quotes, but
6.
still.
Right.
But 4/6, I mean,
How do you beat that?
yeah, I mean, you can use black removal,
Sure.
or you can use up your entire turn, probably at sorcery speed, and have them draw cards, and then probably have a counterspell, and if they don't, they're still up the cards.
Right, exactly. It's lose-lose. And now, as you see here, Dave Shiels with 7 cards in hand, 2 Restoration Angels, Ponder, Vapor Snag.
He's like,
Ray.
oh, look at this, I got all these cards.
He's got extra. Jake Moldowsky sitting with only a couple cards in hand. And these creatures will come in. Now comes the hammer, the angel, blink the Sphinx, double block, or rather block each creature,
Boom.
dismember.
Oh, little Sphinx, little Sphinx.
Now, Dave has the option of snagging his own Sphinx. He has so many cards in hand at this point, though. Instead, chooses the Geist.
And we'll
Definitely
see.
a better play.
We'll see if Jake has any removal to finish off the now 1 toughness Sphinx. All it will take is a single removal spell. Does he have it?
A lowly zap would do it.
Oh, no zaps. It's a lot. Huntmaster, number 3?
Yep, the same one that got snagged.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Thank you.
Jake up to 16, gets a wolf, but now Dave gets to untap again with the Sphinx, the third time he gets to.
So devastating.
Yeah. The card advantage from the Sphinx is just way too much. O-Ring, Ponder, Restoration Angel. Plenty of lands. He'll never miss a land drop.
Ponder.
Ponder to stack the deck.
And he's right now, he's behind in life, so if he draws a timely, he's going to be just fine with not getting any soldiers. Just
Right.
getting a 6 life boost would be fine. If we go through his list, pretty much every card he could draw, he'll be like, that's fine.
How about that? The Delver deck is constructed that all the cards can stand on their own. All the cards cantrip you into other cards or are counters or are creatures. And, you know, one thing we haven't seen any Delver secrets.
I'm pretty sure he sided them out.
Yeah.
And this is a
think
very
so.
common choice when you're going big. You know, the Delver, for the Delver player, you're basically making a decision to no longer be an aggressive deck, but instead slow it up and be controlling.
Yeah, exactly. The one drop is just not where he wants to be.
I mean, if you think about this, in essence, the deck has chosen to become kind of a mid-range control deck.
Yeah, he's just blue-white control at this point. Dave Judgments, big creatures to mop up, a mid-range angel. And
It's not surprising that this deck, in this guise, looks a lot like Clawblade in that same way.
Exactly.
What do we got here? We got the... Oh, my goodness. When the Sphinx turns sideways, that is not a good feeling for the aggressive deck.
No.
You're like, oh, really? Are we at
Another
that point in the
angel?
game?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's the second time, and they both come. One thing I'm really glad that they did with Restoration Angel, I'm glad they put the word non-angel in it.
Yeah.
So that you can't chain angels. I bet you that's exactly what happened. That someone was like, Angel blink my other angel,
Right.
Angel blink, infinite blinking.
Well, also, does it work like with an O-ring? Can you draw the game with as many angels?
I actually saw LSV do that on Modo.
Yeah. he crashed Modo. He crashed all of Modo.
That was a pretty exciting moment. It's funny. There we see the Moorland Haunt, number 2, coming into play.
Yep. And Dave will just O-ring Huntmaster and hold the Restoration Angel up. And at this point, there's not much Jake Moldowsky can do.
That mana leak means that any high mana play that Jake might put down is not going to do anything. The other angel, there's 2 more cards, meaning that a Sword of War and Peace will not make the wolf big enough to get through the Sphinx, because even if Jake drops it, all that Dave has to do, let him equip it, flash in the angel, untap the Sphinx, well, flicker the Sphinx, and then block. I mean, there's so little that Jake can do at this point.
No, it would take something catastrophic for Jake to win this game. Green Sun, X equals 4. We'll see if Dave lets this resolve. I'm not sure what he's worried about at this point. He's probably trying to think, can I mana leak this? Do I have to save this for anything?
Is there anything? There's the one Thrun, which doesn't do anything. Another Huntmaster, which just forestalls the inevitable.
Yeah, not much here.
I mean, if there were one Wolf or Silverheart, there would be a very narrow path through this. But even that would be so unlikely.
Right. It would require Dave to just have drawn all lands off all the Consecrated Sphinx triggers. And yep, he does go with that Thrun. Virtually a vanilla 4/4 at this point. Dave's hand is just stocked. Cuts his opponent's deck, and he is just about representing lethal. He has 10 points of power if you count that angel. But nope, looks like he'll go for a different play rather than the angel.
Thought Scour. That hand is so amazing. Snapcaster. And that is going to be a Vapor Snag. And you can see Dave here is just looking to put it away. He's got plenty of card advantage, so now tossing away... well, it's not even tossing away when he's getting rid of a token, but just turning that card into an actual removal spell. Just fine. Ponder gives him another Vapor Snag. There's a Dismember there.
Oh, man.
This is just...
At this point, if I'm Dave Shiels, I think I just flip my hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that before, where you're just like, shall we go on?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like, why are we playing this game?
Yeah.
I had a Sphinx for 5 turns.
Now, it might be different if, let's say that it were me playing on the Delver side. You might be like, let's keep going.
You might draw 4 cards.
Let's see what happens. But with Dave Shiels here, we've got a Grand Prix champion. Yeah. His game is very sharp right now. And, yeah.
Yeah, there's not much way for Jake to get out of this here. Going through the motions, and we're going to try and get you some updates on the other 3 matches.
I've been waiting for Glenn Jones and poking him a little bit. We only have the 1 match.
Well, Glenn Jones will get to that when he's ready.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
So Dave Shiels still pondering here.
And we have a return. Still only in the 1 game. Lloyd Kurth has evened it up against Jeremy Dombeck. So it's 1-1 in the only non-Delver mirror going on in this top 8.
Yep, the other side of the bracket. Delver, 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 Delver.
Guaranteeing a Delver in the finals.
So is Dave really still thinking about this ponder, or is this a judge question? I have to... Yeah, okay, yeah. This is a judge question.
Let's see.
I'm not sure what they could be talking about here. Looks like there's some discrepancy, but they have it sorted out. Jake's just like, I don't care, man. Put me away, he's saying. Let's go to game 3 where I'm on the play. Image of the Thrun. Thrun down.
Did you say image of the flan?
Image of the Thrun. And Dave Shiels shows Jake the lethal. The lethal gut shot twice, and that's the game. Jake packs it in.
I see. So it was a theoretical question. Essentially the theoretical question, what happens with miracles and Consecrated Sphinx? The answer, you need to make sure that if you want to make a miracle happen, that you distinguish which one of the cards is drawn first.
Right. You set them aside, you say, okay, this is the first one, I'll look at this one first, and then you go on from there.
It gets more complicated when you have other cards that might rearrange the top.
Right.
Okay, so apparently Glenn Jones doing our text coverage was so excited by the text coverage that he was doing that he did not get to us the 2-0 victory in the other bracket of Sean Herr over Key Wrong. That puts Sean Herr with Delver over Delver in tomorrow.
Yep, and it looks like the other matches, Kurth and Dombeck, like we said, in game 3. Costa and Oronsky, I'm sorry, also in game 3.
That's right.
So Oronsky, the relative newcomer, taking it to game 3 against the Delver Master.
Now you might remember Sam Oronsky drew in that last round.
He did.
He was behind his opponent, and in that draw, leapfrogged over his opponent and made going from 1 behind in the standings to 1 ahead in the standings, upsetting, I believe it was Corey Cohen.
Cohen.
Corey Cohen.
And now
Who
Corey,
offered the draw.
Yeah, he was up a game and offered the draw. He thought that he was a lock for top 8, but tiebreakers in the last round, especially the smaller a tournament is, the more they can change.
Just make sure that when you offer a draw, that it is to your benefit. That's a very big rule
Yeah,
that not enough people actually follow through with.
And Sam Moransky is the lucky benefactor. Went from down a game with his foot out the door to in the top 8.
And here again, they are reviewing those lists. They are completely in the right for being allowed to do that. Now,
yep, it looks like players are chatting now, maybe about sideboarding. Dave Shiels, unlikely to be changing anything from the play and the draw. Sean, or rather Jake, probably also not changing anything.
I mean, it's possible. We saw the Hellrider in play that was brought in from the board, so he's going to keep that, certainly. The dismembers we saw as well.
Yep.
I think you're right. I think he's going to leave it alone, and I mean...
The only change that I could really see is if he did board out some number of Sword of War and pieces, going back up to the full number on the play. Because the ability to go turn 2 sword with that Bird of Paradise or Lana War Elf when your opponent cannot mana leak is huge.
This is true.
But we'll see what he does. He probably kept in all 4 just since it's such a powerful card and such a backbreaker. I'm probably in the minority when I would suggest siding a few of them out.
One of the reasons I really like the sword is that you can steal games. And so long as you keep in a sufficient amount of creatures, that ability to steal games is just so huge.
If you're Jake Moldowsky here, do you ever side out any accelerators? Versus this 2 Day of Judgment deck?
I would really struggle to do that. I mean, show me the wrath. You know,
Right.
Just show me the wrath.
He only has 2.
For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Adrian Sullivan with Zach Hall, and we're here in Worcester. You can follow it on the conversation about the event at the hashtag SCGMA, SCGMass, and both of us can be reached, as well as everyone else on the coverage team, with the @SCGLive Twitter handle. You can find me on Twitter at Adrian L. Sullivan, Zach at ZC Hall. And you can find me on Facebook at Adrian L. Sullivan as well.
The L, of course, stands for Livingston, as we found out earlier.
Lee.
Livingston.
You can make... That's fine. That's fine. I don't mind.
Has a ring to it. Rather English.
Jake Moldowsky here on the left. He's going to be on the play. Dave Shiels, he looks pretty peppy. They both look like they're having some fun, bantering with each other, smiles all around. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys know each other.
Quote from Dave Shiels before the match. He says, "I don't want to split the top 8, but then again, I've never won round 1 at an open." Of course, he's talking about round 1 of the top 8. So on a bit of a losing streak, maybe a little bit cursed. He's trying to break that here. One thing he will have to break, serve. Jake Moldowsky on the play. Huge for an aggressive deck. The ability to land a turn 2 threat while Dave Shiels does not have counter mana is just big. And Jake going back for 6 new cards. Dave Shiels staying on 7. He looked at his hand for about 4 seconds and chose to keep. Must be very good. What's your general opinion on that when someone keeps their hand very quickly?
I mean, it really depends on the level of player that they are. Some of the really high-level players are able to make analysis of a hand very quickly, and they also are at the level where they can try to play mind games.
Right. You know, one thing I think it does, especially a good player, and I would put Dave Shiels into that category, I would say it sort of polarizes his range. I think it's either a very good hand or a very bad hand.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that... you know, a less good player, when they do the snap keep, it's usually something you can read straight up as what it is. A better player might be going for the bluff, but only if he thinks the other person can actually read the bluff.
Right. So Jake looks like he's happy with his 6. And Copperline Gorge, go. No turn 1 accelerant.
Word from the floor. the mystery deck piloted by Jeremy Dombeck, the subject of our trivia question, which you can answer at hashtag SCG Premium, has defeated Delver. Two games to one.
Congratulations to Jeremy, keeping the dream alive for non-Delver players everywhere. So Dave Shiels thinking about this turn one ponder here. He realizes that a mistake here could cost him the game later on. You know, it's almost reminiscent of Legacy. These turn one decisions are huge.
Legacy, my favorite constructed format, perhaps of all time.
Yeah, awesome format. Gristlebrand you. So Dave Shiels does keep him. Jake Moldowsky going for a turn 2 Green Sun Zenith, grabbing a Bird of Paradise. Shuffling up the deck, and now Dave looks like he has a Day of Judgment in hand, a Timely Reinforcements. Definitely has all the tools he needs, but only if the game goes at the pace he wants it to. So we'll see if Jake can control that.
Dave with a turn 2 land of many different possibilities. Looks like he's going to ponder first to make that decision.
Sees Angel, Glacial Fortress, Mana Leak.
Looks like he's keeping it.
Looks like he wants to.
And draws the Glacial Fortress.
And Vapor snags the Bird of Paradise, dropping Jake to 19, but more importantly,
just slowing the game down a touch,
keeping him off that crucial 4 mana. So Jake Moldowsky trying to decide what to play. Birds of Paradise. Wow, no land for Jake Moldowsky. So he is stuck on 2 lands, but he gets to untap with his Bird of Paradise. So Strangleroot Geist for Jake. And Dave Shiels really thinking about this one. He does have a Mana Leak, not just posturing. But he lets it resolve, and Dave drops to 18.
Geisty. Land.
Ooh, and Jake did draw land. Little tricky there, playing the Geist before he plays the land.
Tricksy.
So now Dave Shiels sits on Restoration Angel mana, just content to make Jake play the guessing game of, what do I have? Do I have it? Do I not? Do I have Snapcaster? Do I not? Am I just waiting to use a Mana Leak? Am I just waiting to use a Gut Shot, a Dismember? It's really hard for Jake to know.
I mean, what do you do here? Do you just march your Geist in there? I mean, I think you just have to.
I think so.
I think you just have to.
I think that's what Geist is for.
Just, let's check. I mean, it replaces itself. It's not great to throw away that initial death, but what else are you going to do?
Right, exactly. You can't just sit around versus the deck with Day of Judgments and Consecrated Sphinxes.
Now, Dave, from his part, can be thinking, do I drop this? What if Jake has a sword?
Right. Or on the less bad end of the spectrum, a Dismember. Or on the worst end, a Dismember plus a sword.
Oh, that would be the worst for Dave, if there's a Dismember here and a sword. But no, it blocks, it kills. 2 damage has been dealt to this angel.
Yep, and Dave probably correctly realizes that he can't just sit around. He has to preserve his life total a little bit, especially when he sees that his opponent brought in Hellrider. And another land for Jake. And 4 mana. This looks like perhaps a Huntmaster.
And there it is. You know, I still do like Jake having access to one, count 'em one, Wolfir Silverheart from the sideboard, or from the main deck for Green Sun Zenith, but I don't think he does. I think he took them all out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we would have seen him go grab one last game. Now, if you're Dave Shiels, you can know that Jake doesn't have that card because Jake had the opportunity to Green Sun for 5. He chose 4.
Well, another thing, if we're going to go really next level,
Right.
Jake might have it and not have done it, showing Dave no Wolfir Silverheart just to bring him there. But again, that's assuming that we're talking about people next leveling.
Right,
You know, so.
right. Sort of a big assumption after 10 rounds of
Yeah,
Magic, especially Delver Mirrors and just playing against Delver in general. So Dave Shiels, Seachrome Coast tapped. He has a lot of options. He has 2 Angels, he has a Snag, he has a Leak, and he has a Timely. Any of these are good right now. I think we might see him go for Timely plus Vapor Snag mana up. And that's what it looks like he's doing. There it is. Dave Shiels goes to 24. More importantly, though, those 3 soldiers will allow him to block effectively. And I don't think we'll see him attack with this Angel. Not sure he can afford to do that now. He's thinking about it, though. He knows that sometimes the Delver deck does have to get aggressive. Dave Shiels a deliberate player. It's code for slow.
Thank you for explaining your joke.
You're welcome. Anytime, Adrian, anytime. I'm sorry, Livingston.
You know, one of the things that I was always told is dissecting a joke is like dissecting a frog. It's dead at the end. And Timely.
Bonfire for Jake. X equals 2. That's a hard cast bonfire. Dave Shiels drops to 22. And here they come. We'll see a Vapor Snag here. The question is, targeting what? Have to imagine it would be Wolf Token. Dave Shiels might have other plans. Might want to constrain Jake's mana. Mana leak that Huntmaster on the way back down. What Dave's thinking about right now, he's thinking, do I have a land on top? Because if he does, he's able to play Restoration Angel and Mana Leak in one turn. If he doesn't, he'll be able to play Vapor Snag and Angel next turn. But instead, he's just going to Vapor Snag that Huntmaster. And that'll be it for Jake's turn. After he plays the land, he's done. So if you're just joining us, I'm Zach Hall, joined by Adrian Sullivan, and
Hello.
we're coming to you live from the top 8 of Star City Open in Worcester. This is Dave Shiels versus Jake Moldowsky. They're in Game 3 right now, and they're playing for a spot in the top 4. Dave looks through his graveyard, perhaps trying to bluff the Snapcaster, perhaps just checking it out.
You know, honestly, it could be both ways.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like Dave... we got a Snapcaster. I feel like Dave is a Dredge player, the way I've seen him laying out his graveyard. He does it very much like a lot of the Legacy Dredge players have been doing as of late.
Yeah, and you know, when your deck is as graveyard intensive as Delver, especially with a card like Snapcaster Mage, when you don't want to give away that you've drawn it, it's really important to know what's in your graveyard. So Dave will flashback that Ponder, seeing Sword of Feast and Famine, Gut Shot, and Evolving Wilds. And wow, some spicy cards right there. And he will definitely be keeping those. Sword of Feast and Famine is a card he loves to have in this matchup. And now he'll be able to Gut Shot that Bird of Paradise, Mana Leak the Huntmaster on the way back down, and then untap Sword of Feast and Famine up. With the untap trigger, be able to play Restoration Angel. We'll see if that's the path he chooses.
In some ways, a lot of times, these Restoration Angel decks in the mid-game start looking like Magic the Puzzling, for those of you who remember that article series by Mark Rosewater in the old Duelist magazine.
The what?
Magic the Puzzling in the Duelist.
So Gutshot does take down that Bird of Paradise, further constraining Jake's mana, making sure that Mana Leak will counter Huntmaster. Jake asks Dave how many cards he has. The answer is 3. 3 mana, Sword of War and Peace, and that will certainly meet a Mana Leak.
Hello, meet me.
Your new friend, the Mana Leak. So that was a really fortunate ponder for Dave Shiels, seeing Gutshot on top there. He had to have that. And now he'll untap. Oh, what's that? That's a sword. What's that have protection from?
Your deck.
Your deck. Now, Dave's trying to decide what type of removal spell Jake has. He can pretty much rule out Dismember. I think Jake would have dismembered that Restoration Angel. He's trying to think now, does Jake perhaps have a Galblast, or does Jake perhaps have an Incinerate? And I think the safe play is equipping the Angel here.
I agree.
Jake would have used a Dismember if he had it.
Go on in.
And Jake takes the hit.
Boom, 5, untap for Dave Shiels. And right now, we're in Callblade territory.
Oh, yes.
You might remember this sort of situation from long, long ago.
Yep, Jake discards that Huntmaster that Dave bounced. And now with 2 Restoration Angels in hand, Dave Shiels is very close to locking this one up. One more turn of inaction from Jake should do it.
Did you say one more tournament action?
One more turn of inaction.
Oh, I think you said tournament action. And I was going to ask you what that meant.
Oh, I would if I knew. And the creatures come in. Jake Moldowsky going to be awfully disappointed. Oh, okay. No Restoration Angel. It looks like after blocks.
Oh my goodness.
It'll come down. Targeting a Vapor Snag.
There goes the... And back it comes. Gutshot, actually. Oh, no, Vapor Snag, you're right. And goodbye token.
Wow, this Delver deck is brutal.
It's so good. 5 mana. Are we
Going
going to
Sun
see
for 4.
Thrun?
Yeah.
Huntmaster?
Gonna be too little too late for Jake
Huntmaster's-
Moldowsky.
He's going for the 2 life here, and also the attempt to try to make Dave Shiels be forced to play cards, or else there'll be a 4/4. But I don't know that that even is anywhere near good enough.
No, Dave Shiels, Restoration Angel in hand. He has all the spells he needs.
Oh my god, look at that Air Force. He's got 8 damage in the air should he want to go for it. And then he can move that sword over to the Snapcaster.
Right.
His life total is a fairly healthy 15. Now, obviously 15 is, not 20, but it's also not 6. I mean, 15 is really solid.
Yeah, the only thing Dave has to think about right now is if Jake can somehow steal a win with some sort of conscript action. Or conscript action, some sort of Sword of War and Peace action, he has to make sure that he doesn't die.
One thing to note, there are no cards in Jake Moldowsky's deck which deal with an artifact.
Not a single one in the 75.
No acidic slimes, no ancient grudges,
No corruptors.
no nothing.
So Dave Shiels trying to figure out his best option here to lock this one up and make sure his opponent has no outs. He ultimately looks like he's deciding on Restoration Angel. Targeting Snapcaster, that'll flicker that. Snappy will target Ponder.
God, it's so good.
Ponder will be cast.
Now, just realize right here what he's doing. He's saying, you know what? Main phase is fine.
Because I'll untap
That's
all those lands.
That's how much I, am concerned about something happening to this angel. If you're tapped out, untap with this Feast and Famine. Remember how this goes? It's good times.
Let me remind you.
Here they come. And he might crack that Evolving Wilds in response to the triggered ability of the sword. We'll see. Nope, he's saving it there for the potential card selection later.
Maybe wants that top card from his Ponder. Didn't quite see what it was. Either way, sort of a moot point. As Jake is drawing pretty slim.
And we're waiting for the report from Glenn Jones. Who? Glenn Jones. On the other matchup between Matthew Costa and Sam Aransky, currently in their final game of their match, Delver on Delver.
And there's the hand. Dave Shiels moves on to the
There we
semifinals.
go.
Congratulations, Dave Shiels. Nice showing, Jake Moldowsky. Red-green ultimately could not stand up to the menace that was Restoration Angel.